It was a call that would echo for centuries. A war fought not just with swords, but with faith, power, and ambition. The Crusades, often told as a simple clash between Christians and Muslims, were far more complex than we imagine. Were they truly a holy war, or was there something more beneath the surface? This is the real story of the Crusades. The world before the Crusades. Before the Crusades, the world was not as divided as we often believe. In the Holy Land, Muslims, Christians, and Jews coexisted under Islamic rule, with Christians making pilgrimages to Jerusalem without major restrictions. But tensions were brewing. In Europe, kings and nobles saw an opportunity, and in the Middle East, power struggles shaped a volatile landscape. The storm was coming. In 1095, Pope Urban II made history with a speech that would change the world. Deus vult, God wills it. The Pope promised that those who fought for Jerusalem would be absolved of their sins, but beneath the religious fervor lay political ambitions. European nobles saw a chance for land, wealth, and power. And so the First Crusade began, the march to the Holy Land. The journey was grueling. Starvation, disease, and internal conflicts took as many lives as battle. The so-called People's Crusade, led by Peter the Hermit, was a disaster, slaughtered before even reaching the Holy Land. But the knights pressed on. In 1099, they reached their goal. Jerusalem lay ahead. The siege of Jerusalem, a bloody victory. June 1099, after a grueling 3-year journey, the Crusaders finally stood before their ultimate prize, Jerusalem. The city, controlled by the Fatimid Caliphate, was defended by a determined garrison of Muslim warriors. But the Crusaders had something far more dangerous than swords: fanatical resolve. After weeks of siege, hunger, and desperation, they launched their final assault. The Crusaders built massive siege towers, using timber supplied by the Genoese navy. On July 15th, they unleashed their final attack. The city's walls trembled under the relentless assault. The first breakthrough came when Godfrey of Bouillon's men breached the defenses. The gates were forced open, and what followed was beyond anything Jerusalem had ever seen. The Crusaders, fueled by years of hardship and religious fervor, showed no mercy. Every street became a battlefield, every home a tomb. Muslim warriors fought to the last man, but they were overwhelmed. Women, children, and the elderly sought sanctuary in mosques and synagogues, only to be massacred. The Dome of the Rock was bathed in blood, and the city, once a beacon of faith for all 3 Abrahamic religions, was turned into a slaughterhouse. The chroniclers of the time spoke of rivers of blood flowing through the streets. To the Crusaders, it was divine justice. To history, it was a grim reminder of what religious fanaticism can unleash. The First Crusade had succeeded, but at what cost? The Muslim counterattack. Saladin's rise. The Crusaders ruled Jerusalem, but their victory would not go unchallenged. In the Islamic world, outrage spread like wildfire. For decades, Muslim rulers were divided, but the loss of the holy city became a unifying cause. And from this chaos, a new leader emerged, one who would become the greatest Muslim commander of the Crusades, Saladin. Born into a Kurdish family, Salah ad-Din Yusuf ibn Ayyub, known to history as Saladin, was not just a warrior, but a master of diplomacy. He united the fractured Muslim world, forging an empire that stretched from Egypt to Syria. Unlike the Crusaders, who fought with religious rage, Saladin waged war with strategy, patience, and honor. Then came the turning point, the Battle of Hattin in 1187. The Crusaders, led by King Guy of Jerusalem, marched across the scorching desert in search of battle. But Saladin, a master tactician, lured them into a trap. Dehydrated, starving, and surrounded, the Crusaders collapsed under the relentless assault. It was a total disaster. King Guy was captured, and Jerusalem lay defenseless. Unlike the Crusaders who had butchered Jerusalem's inhabitants in 1099, Saladin chose a different path. When he retook the city, there was no mass slaughter. Instead, he allowed Christians to leave peacefully, a move that earned him respect, even from his enemies. Saladin had not just reclaimed Jerusalem, he had rewritten the rules of war. The later Crusades and the decline of the movement. Saladin's triumph shook Europe. The call for a new crusade echoed across the West, and this time, the kings themselves answered. The Third Crusade brought some of history's greatest warriors to battle. Richard the Lionheart, the warrior king of England, led the charge. Unlike previous crusaders, he fought with both might and cunning. Though he never reclaimed Jerusalem, his battles with Saladin became legendary. The two leaders, though enemies, held deep respect for one another. But as time passed, the Crusades lost their original purpose. The Fourth Crusade, instead of marching to Jerusalem, turned against fellow Christians. In 1204, Crusaders sacked Constantinople, the greatest Christian city of the East, looting its treasures and dividing its empire. The movement that had begun in the name of faith was now driven by greed and betrayal. As the centuries passed, the Crusader states crumbled, and by 1291, the last Crusader stronghold of Acre fell. The age of the Crusades had come to an end, but their impact would last forever. What do you think was the biggest turning point in the Crusades? Was it the siege of Jerusalem or Saladin's victory at Hattin? 2. If Richard the Lionheart and Saladin had ever fought one-on-one, who do you think would have won? 3. Do you believe the Crusades were purely religious wars, or were they driven more by politics and power? The Crusades were a clash of civilizations, faiths, and power that reshaped history. But what do you think? Let us know in the comments below. And if you love history as much as we do, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, Kingdom Tales, and turn on notifications so you never miss an epic tale from the past. More legendary battles, forgotten empires, and untold stories are coming soon. Stay tuned.